I feel good about it. I feel good about it. Yeah, you always make me feel like, yeah, Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Shanice. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. So, excuse me for my appearance today. I'm about to go to the gym. I wanted to record before I did that though, and I did not want to put on a whole face of makeup and waste it for like 20 minutes because I'm going to take it off. So bear with me. We usually look better than this during my testimony. Okay, so I talk about things that the wonderful works of God that are happening in my life for a testimony, and I have a very good one that I'm so happy to talk with you guys about or to share. I have a good one that I'm ready, that I'm happy to share. This is about me getting I got a new job, and I want to tell y'all how it happened. Y'all know I have been out of work since October. It's May right now. Let me tell you when I got the revelation, how I got it, and so on and so forth. Okay, y'all know I read the Bible every day. Tell y'all that. So one day, if this was in April, no, I'm sorry, what the fuck am I talking about? This was in February. I was reading my Bible. Y'all know I don't pick a place to read. I mean, I don't have a preconceived notion about where I'm going to read. I just open it. I pray before I open it. I ask God to guide me, to show me what He wants me to read so that I can hear Him. This day it was in Genesis. It was the story of Sarai and Abraham, later known as Sarah and Abraham, and Hagar and Ishmael. If you don't know the story, I'm going to give you a very short synopsis of it. Sarai and Abram are married, and Sarai cannot have children. So she allowed her maidservant to sleep with her husband, and they bore a child together. Later on, God blessed Sarai and Abram with a child, and during that celebration of them having their child, Sarai noticed that Ishmael was mocking her son, and she got mad and said to Abram, he has to go. His son with Hagar has to go. And so Hagar and Ishmael went out into the wilderness, the desert, the world, whatever you want to call it. And God said to Abram, I'll cover Ishmael. Don't worry about him. And Hagar left as well, right? Did I say that? So that's the story that I read. That's the scripture that I read. Now, when I read the Bible, I also watch sermons too. So I came across the sermon from T.D. Jakes. This sermon, I'm going to link it if I can find it, if I remember it. This was in the same day, okay? The sermon had the same scripture that I read, along with another scripture that was talking about the prodigal son. I'm going to give you the story of the prodigal son. I'm going to give you a whole little summary of the sermon, very little. The prodigal son was a boy who left the nest too early, who disrespected his father, and he left home and said, give me all you got, and I know what I'm about to do in this world, and I'm going to do it. But he soon found out that he didn't know what he was doing, and he had to humble himself and go back home to his father and ask for forgiveness and all that stuff, right? So he coupled it with Sarai and Abram's story, and Hagar and Ishmael. Not verbatim, I cannot remember, but Hagar, the maidservant, T.D. Jakes was speaking on her and how she needs to go back out of the wilderness to go back to the house where Sarai and Abram were, because that is where God had made provisions for her. Her son will be fine. Ishmael is covered, right? Remember I said that. So that was what I got, right? So as soon as I heard the scripture in the sermon, I said, oh, this is for me. I'm all ears, God. I hear you. You have to know, like, when God is talking to you, because that's not by coincidence. This happens to me so often that it's just like, it's really a miracle that the sermons will be coupled with my scripture that I've read for the day. So I'm like, all right, I see what you're saying to me, God. I really was not agreeing with it. I had a whole fit with it, because in this moment, I'm like, nah. You're telling me to go back to my job. You're telling me to go back to my former place of employment. You're telling me to go back to where you have made provisions for me for those years. That's what you're telling me to do. All right, to go back to a place where they don't value me, where I don't get paid enough, where I have to travel so far and I hate it, where I have to travel to another city and I hate it, where I work my butt to the bone and I get like very minimal recognition. And if it is recognition, it's behind closed doors and never in the front. Okay? You telling me to go back there? And I cried and I cried and I threw a fit. Okay? And I know it said you should not question God. You never question God, right? But I did. And I prayed, and I had to pray on that. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, why would you want me to do that? So I just basically left for no reason, right? This is all the thoughts that I'm going through. These are the emotions that I'm going through. So you're telling me to go get the vaccine. Okay. So you're telling me there's nothing wrong with the vaccine? So you're telling me that, okay, everything that I felt was wrong? Okay. I had to make sure that I heard him correctly. So the next day, I went to the TD Jake's church, the Potter's House. I went to that website because I had to see the full sermon. Like, did I hear this correctly? When you go on the website, it has the full sermon. On YouTube, it only shows, no, it has the full church service. On YouTube, it only shows the sermon part. So what I didn't, and it was just like, God was just like, yes, that's what I said. So in the beginning of the church service, they had an interview with Fantasia Barrino, and she was talking with her husband as well, because I'm gonna show respect to the spouses. Her husband and her had an interview, and she was talking about they were giving her recognition that she got a part in The Color Purple again. And she spoke on how she told herself that she would never go back to that play. She didn't like it. It was too much for her. And she said they called her and she went back. Now that was 3 times that there's a going back story that I'm like, okay, this is not by accident. This is really what he said to do. Okay, so I'm like very confused about it, and I don't act on it. That was in February. So this is in March now. I'm in Atlanta and I'm having a conversation with my best friend, and I'm telling her the revelation I got, and I'm like why? Just why? Why would this be the answer for me? And in the midst of that conversation, my former vice president texted my phone. And my best friend was like, well, there you go. There's your answer. And it's just like, I freaking was tearing up, because I'm like, yo, God hears me. He hears me. I am his child. He hears me. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. This is all that's going through my head, all my emotions, right? So, okay. She texts me, and she just, the conversation starts off slow. She's checking on me, seeing how I'm doing. It's very random. She does not text my phone. There's no reason for any of them to text my phone, but she texts my phone, and the conversation is slow. So I'm like to my best friend, like, she's not talking about anything right now. Like, I'm not about to go back begging for a job that I didn't even like. So then she's like, you know, I wish you were here. We wish you were here. We have been so blah, 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 blah. They need me. Basically what she's telling me. Not even basically, it's what she told me. They need me. And I'm like, okay, well, there it goes. There's my in. So we're talking and making up, devising kind of a plan to get back into that position. So I'm like, do I have to apply again, or can I just send an email? What do I have to do? So we talk about it, and she tells me what to do, and I get back home in March, and I go and do it. I apply to that position. She also told me to send an email. I had to send a humbling email to everybody that I was working for, and that is not even like me. My best friend had to help me with that email because I was like, I gotta say this? Really? No, I want to make this quick. So I get an interview on April 14th, and it's the same position, but it is, I didn't know because it's many of, I'm not telling y'all what it is, but it's a many of them in different cities. And I got an interview with one in the same city that I live in. The first thing that the vice president says to me is the salary. And from that moment, it's the same position, okay? The salary is $10,000 more than what I was getting. That means if I was making $93,000, I am now making $103,000 for those of you who are a little bit slow in math. I'm just playing. So from the moment she said that, I was like, oh no, this is mine. This is mine. This is for me. It's here, and I get, for what I have been not even begging. I asked them 3 times for a raise, and they pushed my shit to the side and chose to use their budget for other things that they didn't even know what to do or how to do it or where to spend it. Okay? This interview was April 14th, right? So I'm like, okay, I feel good about it. I feel good about it. So May 17th, I got a job offer, and I want to talk about the number 7. May would be the 7th month that I have been unemployed. 7 is the number of completion in the Bible, of wholeness. And I was just like, it is well with me, Lord. I will go back to the same position where you have made provisions for me, where I'm getting making money legally, having benefits, and doing something that you have put me here to do, which is serve. I found myself, you know, I'm in the environment with stakeholders, so I find myself thinking like, well, I'm up there too, and that's not the case. I am a servant. I'm a servant of the Lord. That is how I have to move forward. Humble. I'm not over anybody. I'm not better than anybody. I do my job well, and that's by the grace of God. Okay, what I have learned was that I deceived myself. There are so many moments where we go off of our emotions and we feel this way, or we don't feel like doing this, so we're not going to do this. So we miss that opportunity for whatever was to come if we did it, right? We feel. It's all about the way that we feel. I feel like this. We get in an argument. I feel this way and I feel this way. Our emotions mislead us. I deceived myself, okay? That's what I learned. But however, my waiting was not in vain. I got what I needed. I got what I wanted. You see, I thought God was telling me to go back to my job, in which that's what I did. But little did I know His plan that He had for me. He said, I'm working on some things that you don't even know about, Shanice. You don't have to go back all the way over there. I'm gonna place you closer, and I'm gonna give you more. I'm gonna give you what you deserve, what you're deserving of. And during this time, I've learned so many things, and like, the money that I'm about to receive is not mine. It is His. and I gotta pay my dues before anything else. I have to, during this time I have learned budgeting. Girl, I ain't never put myself on a budget. Now I have to put myself on a budget. Now I learned that new thing. And it's right, period, it's right. And I have to show that I'm able to be trusted with this increase that he has given me. And I will not fail, right? I cannot fail because I came this far. So why would I do that? So that's the lesson learned here today, guys. Sometimes we deceive ourselves, and we have to be mature enough to go back and be like, yeah, that wasn't what I was supposed to do. And I apologize, and I'm wrong. And let's go do it another way. In the sermon as well, TD Jakes was like, you can still do what you want to do, but you have to do it another way. You have to. Because clearly it ain't working for you this way that you thought it would, that you felt it would. Do what you're doing another way and humble yourself all the time. Don't get beside yourself. That's my testimony. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please take inventory over your own lives with whatever I have said, because you are not here by accident. You need to get the lesson. Get the lesson. So I'll see you guys in the next video.